You're listening to The Hurt Locker, a podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And for tonight's guest, we have award-winning comedian Rich Wilson. Rich, welcome.
Nice to be here. Nice to see you, Yinka. You well?
I'm good. And as soon as I hear your accent, I start buzzing to myself, and I'll tell you why. I know that,
Go on.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in a bit. But as I say, this is really informal and all that, and I don't do any research, but I do have a question to ask you.
Okay.
Have you read any books recently?
Do you know what? I have just finished a book of poetry by John Hegley.
John Hegley?
John Hegley.
Yes, John Hegley. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you find it?
I enjoyed it. I remember reading his stuff years and years ago. So my dad had loads of books on the wall when I was growing up. And it's just recently I've been going, I need to read a bit more. I've got all these books, but I don't read them. So I'm gonna start. So I've made a start because normally I listen to books now. Like,
okay,
there's nothing better than someone reading to you. It's brilliant.
Oh, so I take it then you're not a vinyl man then, or what?
Dude, I've got more vinyl than anything. I've got so much vinyl.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we'll delve into your back catalogue as well.
I'm excited. I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm starting off. I'm saying that I don't do any research, and basically I just get a little feel for people, and I might just look at a little video clip, etc. And as soon as I saw the little clip that Tim, our producer, sent to me, I heard your dulcet tones of being, can I call you? I'll say a southerner, but I was going to say a cockney.
Not, yeah, I know what you mean. I sound like one, a cockney, but I'm not technically, like I wasn't born within the sound of Bow Bells.
Okay.
But I am southeast. Yeah, southeast. I was born in Bromley.
Okay.
Bromley's right on the sort of southeast London, Kent border. David Bowie's from there. Susie Sue from Susie and the Banshees is from there.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeremy Beadle, I think, is from there.
Okay, I'm not gonna throw out any skits on that one there. I'm gonna leave that for somebody else.
So yeah, it's a good place, and it's so it's like right on the edge of sort of London, Kent. So we always used to gravitate into London, going to see bands and things like that. So that's where this exotic accent comes from.
Okay, and what clubs would you venture into in London?
Ah, mate, we used to go. The first nightclub I ever went to was called the Metro, and it was on the Old Kent Road, and it was opposite. It was opposite the Thomas à Becket pub, which was famous where all the boxers used to train. I think Frank Bruno may have trained in there. I might be wrong about that. It's a famous pub known for its boxing training, and then we used to go in. Le Metro was the first one I ever went to.
And how old were you?
I was 16. And I was so scared going in.
You know what? I am so glad you've said that. I am so glad you've said that. Because when we're trying to be like, yeah, we're not bothered, we're this, we're that, we're cool, look at us and all of that. Yeah. And you just admitted it.
Terrifying. It's terrifying when you're that age. I don't know what it's like now. This is back in the late 80s. Okay. So you still had to wear like smart trousers and a tie and smart shoes. Like you couldn't. Now we've got a bit more understanding about clothing, but back then you were like, oh, I'm gonna have to borrow a tie from my dad and wear it. It's just shit.
And what about scents? What aftershave would you have, if any?
What did we have? I think we might have had Paco Rabanne. Paco Rabanne was around. Lacoste was around.
Lacoste was one. Okay.
Jazz. Jazz was later. Jazz was later. You what?
No Yves Saint Laurent, YLS.
No. Never had that one. Okay. But I do remember Jazz, but that was later. But I think it was Paco Rabanne. Brute was around for a bit. We did that.
Well, splash it all over.
Yeah, Henry Cooper.
Yeah, my gosh, my gosh, my gosh.
But I was so scared going into this nightclub because I'd never been anywhere like this before. And my mate Pat, who I was with, he went in first and he gave his like fake date of birth. And I was so scared. I gave the exact same date of birth. And the guy just went, get in, you dickhead. Funny, man. Funny. Yeah, different times.
Indeed, different times. So tell me, growing up, what was that like? Who was that with?
So it was with my mum and dad, my family. They're still together. They're very rare. They're a very, very rare couple. They didn't split up. They probably should have done.
Does that surprise you?
I think so. There's obviously a love there. You know, they do love each other, but it's been tested. You know, they've had a very strained relationship at times, as it's always going to be if you're with someone for, what am I? I'm 52. So they've been together 53 years.
Wow.
So, you know, that's hard. That's going to be hard. That's going to test you. Definitely.
Were you an only child or?
No, I got a younger brother. I got a younger sister. My brother's 2 years younger than me, and my sister's 7 years younger. I don't think my sister was necessarily planned. According to my mum, I wasn't planned. The only one out of the three of us that was planned was my brother. It was my sister. Sorry, my sister. No, it was my brother. Yeah, I wasn't planned. My sister wasn't planned. My brother in the middle, he was planned because they already had me. So they're like, oh yeah, we better get him a playmate.
Yes.
So they have my brother. That's how it works. That's it. Yeah. So, but we love each other, but we're not particularly close. We don't. I always find it weird when people have got like a family WhatsApp group. You know what I mean? Find it odd.
Tell me about that. You say you're not particularly close. You've all gone your separate ways. You're all doing your own thing.
Yeah. We still, you know, we don't really have a lot in common, to be honest. We love each other. That goes without saying, but
does it?
Yeah, there's a feeling there. You can feel it. So I do know, and they are proud of what I've achieved because you know they send me messages now and again, but we're not particularly we don't hang out. We might see each other at Christmas maybe, but we don't really see each other. And I don't know if that's me or them, to be honest. Now I'm thinking about it. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've just pushed everyone away. I'm not sure. It's the first time I really thought about it. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I have to ask them.
So what was growing up like then for you?
So it was in the 70s, in the 80s, came of age in the 80s. So grew up in the 70s. I was born in 72. So this is very different. You were kind of, when you were old enough to sort of go out and play, you were out. You just used to. I remember my dad saying that, you know, he's like you just couldn't wait to get out the door. You were just off, and you know. So I was always out running around with friends and on bikes, and there was, because we lived right on the edge of sort of London, Kent. There was a lot of woodland, a lot of fields. So we spent a lot of time just running off into the fields, setting fire to stuff. You know, just being terrorways, but it wasn't like gangs and war and things like that. It was just us being stupid. You know, we were just stupid kids setting fire to stuff and messing around,
exploring.
Yeah, we were getting involved with nature. You know, and there'd be weirdos around. There'd be weird fellas flashing you and doing whatever. You just used to throw stones at them, chase them off.
I'm being serious on that one, but you never experienced that, did you?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Experienced it a couple of times. There was one, we were walking to school and we just saw this fella just standing there. And then my mate went, he's got his cock out. And I'm like, no, he hasn't. And then we looked and he had it like poking out of his coat. And he just go, hey, you dirty fucker. You dirty fucker. And then he just kind of like sidled off. It was weird. Yeah, I saw it a couple of times.
I don't know. I can't get my head around that. I've heard people talk about it, but
yeah,
never experienced that myself.
Well, I think it's now it's gone online, isn't it? Now it's the dick pic. I think
Yeah, yeah,
they've taken it indoors.
I suppose it is.
Yeah, but there was always somebody weird around. You just kind of dealt with it, you know. There was a guy tried to get me back to his place. It was in WH Smith's. I was looking at the records. I was with my mate Martin, and this guy. I didn't realize at first. I was going through the records, and then I felt this guy. Just felt this thing on my. It's like someone touched my ass. And I've looked round, and there was just this one guy kind of over to the side, and I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird. And I'm going through the records again, and it happened again, and I'm like, ah, fuck that dude. Anyway, so I went to find my mate, and I've run out the shop, and I can't find my mate anywhere. And then the bloke just comes out, and he goes, do you want to? You should come with me. Come back to mine. I was like, nah, mate, no, I'm all right, thank you. And he's like, no, I'll give you some money. Come back to me. Come back with me. And I'm like, nah, mate. Then my mate turned up. I was like, I've got to go. So yeah, weird shit like that happened to a few people. You just sort of dealt with it. Yeah, it was horrible. Not very nice.
Wow. And it's weird, you know, as you're saying it, and I'm just thinking, I'm assuming you must have been petrified, or was it a case of, you know what, if I see you again, there's nothing down for you?
It was kind of, it was a shock. And I think you just kind of, again, this is just my experience, but I never felt I could go and tell anybody. So it was like, well, nothing's going to get done. What they're going to do, they're going to go and try and find the geezer. But so I just kind of just kept it to myself. And my friend Martin knew about it. And then he was like, oh yeah. And then he told me about something, you know, and you kind of, there's just things happened, and you kind of you didn't talk about it. You didn't tell anyone. You just dealt with it, you know? And it's like, now I think about it, because I've got kids myself. I'm like, fuck, if that was me,
Go on.
and I found out that someone did that to one of my boys, I'd hunt him down. I'd get my lad in the car. I'd be like, right, we're going to go and see if we can find him. And
You'd be driving around all over the place.
Driving around. I would drive around and find him, because I got away. What would happen if I'd gone with him? You know, it's that shit that we sort of dealt with back in the day. Which yeah, and it was, yeah, you just kind of shrugged it off and then just got on with it. Very different times, man. Very different times.
Do you think it's different times? I don't know. I'm open to change and all that, but I don't feel necessarily that things have changed in any way, shape, or form.
No. Well, it's funny when you talk to anyone down the ages, or when you go, I've been lucky enough to travel because of comedy, and you realize that everybody fundamentally is the same. There's different, you know, bits on top, different cultures, different things involved, but fundamentally at a base level, everyone's dealing with the same shit. Like, they've had horrible things happen to them. They're struggling to pay the bills, you know, and that's in all different places, you know. So I don't think it has changed. It's obviously, there is, you know, there's I don't know. It's a tricky subject to talk about, isn't it? Because of course, there are people that have been abused and are still getting abused. But I'm hoping there are more avenues now for people to come forward, and they feel more able to talk to people about these things. Because I know back in the day, people felt they couldn't, because it was the adults, wasn't it? You trusted the grown-up. So if a grown-up was doing something that was horrible to you, you just sort of felt, or maybe you felt it was your fault, you know.
There's a lot of that, you know, and it's, you know, it's interesting. I was doing some work earlier on today with a gang of young people, and I did say that shame survives in the darkness.
Oh, God,
until you shine a light on it. Then it starts to dissipate, and then you realize, you know what, this wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong.
No. But that comes with time.
You know, unfortunately it does.
Yeah.
Unfortunately it does.
And talking, this is why talking's so important. This is why we do these, this is why you do this podcast, this is why I do mine, is to get people to understand that It's so important to talk to people, not necessarily to get answers, but to understand that you're not alone. And
Spot on.
what you've been through, someone else has absolutely been through that as well. And it's that will give you, it's horrible, but it gives you a sense of comfort because you think you're the only one, and you think, what's wrong with me? Why have I gone through this?
Absolutely.
And that is why we have these conversations, so that it brings us all together. The amount of people that I've spoken to since doing my podcast that have messaged me and gone, mate, I went through this, I went through that, and I'm so glad that you're talking about it. And that's it. They just need to know that they're not alone. It's so important. It's so important.
There's so many shoots that have just come up out of this just brief discussion now. But tell me a little bit about your podcast then. What's it aimed? What's it called?
So it's called Insane in the Membrane.
Insane in the Membrane.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know where that comes from then, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember when we didn't, I've said this before, but we didn't really know what the podcast was going to be about. And then I did like a pilot episode with a guy called Brad, who helped me get it off the ground. And we were just chatting. And then at the end of it, he said to me, he goes, I've never said any of that to anyone before in my life. He goes, I don't know how you managed that, but you managed to get that stuff out of me. And so it sort of went from that. It was like, do you know what? Yeah, it's about that. It's about men talking. And I was sat on the bed and I was just thinking, like, what can I call it? What can I call it? And honestly, it just popped into my head. I remember mishearing the lyrics of Cypress Hill years and years ago.
Yes.
And then that was it. It was like, yeah, Insane in the Membrane. It all just clicked and it was meant to be. And as soon as I told people, I'm like, got this podcast coming, it's called this. Everyone was like, oh, mate, that's the one, isn't it? That's the one. And it would be great to get one of Cypress Hill on, but yeah.
Are you working on it?
I don't even know where to begin with that. How would you begin? They get inundated, I imagine. Yeah. It'd be great to get Be Real one. Imagine.
Just put a shout out. I'm sure somebody will hear you. Come on, manifest it.
Yeah. Are you big on that manifesting?
I'm not actually, but I heard other people, so they believe in it. It works for them, you know. But I do believe in this. We're here once only. One of our previous guests said something about anxiety and fear. It's an inch deep and a wide and a mile long.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how fear stops us from doing the things that we truly want to do. If we're not offending anybody, if we're not, John Devlin, it was, Northern Irish comedian. And if we're not hurting anybody, then why don't we just go and just do what we want to do? And as I'm getting older, I think about all the conditioning and the constraints that I've succumbed to.
Yeah. Mate.
And the need to break away from that.
The amount, see, when I was a kid, I'm like you mentioned vinyl earlier. I'm mad on my music. I love my tunes. And I'm not into anyone like particular genre. If it's good, I'll listen to it. I listen to pop, garage, whatever, rock music, techno, whatever. And I wanted to be in a band so badly. I remember seeing the Happy Mondays for the first time in like 1988 or something on the chart show. And I was like, oh my God, there's a bunch of geezers that look like us. I want to be that. I want to do that. But it never occurred to me that I could go and do it because I was like, well, other people do that. I didn't have the courage to go, I'm going to start a band because I was so scared of looking stupid to people. If I'd have said, yeah, let's start a band. I've seen this band, Happy Mondays. I want to be Happy Mondays. They'd have just laughed at me, or I thought they would. So I never did it. It's my one regret. I wish I'd done it. Just didn't occur to me, man. Didn't occur to me.
Hey, it's never too late.
I've got enough. Mate, I'd love to do it. I still fantasize.
Honestly, what's getting in the way?
I'm busy, man. I'm busy.
Okay. That sounds like a bit of a distraction excuse there.
Well, I mean, I gig anyway, so
Okay.
I get my rock star. I get my rock star bits out of the way by just walking out on stage and having a good time there. Walking out like I'm Shaun Ryder.
I'm not going to do a Manc accent or anything like
No,
that.
no, no. Oh, mate, I don't want to start that rivalry
No,
again.
no,
Don't
no,
you?
no, 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 no.
But then you've got like great bands like the Lars and
Absolutely.
the Stairs, and there's so many great bands from Liverpool.
There's
Not even
loads.
this one, just the Real People. There's so many good bands.
Wow, you mentioned the Real People. Good on you.
Yeah,
Good on
mate.
you. Good on you.
It was criminal how they never got more
You
recognition.
know that. You
Fucking good bands,
know
man.
that.
Yeah, when you look at how instrumental they've been,
Yes.
behind the scenes,
100%.
they're
100%.
top boys, the Real People. They've got this song Rainer's Lane. Oh my god, what a tune. And it's Shaq as well. Shaq.
Wow.
Mate,
Wow.
that's
Shaq.
what I'm talking about.
Go on. Go on.
Proper
Okay.
music. Proper music. This is what I'm
Okay.
into, man. What's that?
Yeah. I was just saying that we've got the
Yeah.
farm on. We've got Peter Hooton.
Have ya?
Yeah, he's going to be coming
Mate.
on soon.
Dude, I picked up a copy of Spartacus only the other day for like £5. I was like, yeah, I've got this. I'm going to have this. I haven't had that since 1990 or whatever it was.
So yeah. Just going back when you were talking with your mate and you said he'd never spoken about stuff and it's a good thing to talk, for men to talk and that.
Yeah.
Do you think it explains why men are 3 times more likely to die by suicide?
There's a need to be. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you do need to kind of dig deep, and you have got, for want of a better phrase, you got to do some man shit. Right? You got to step up and go, right, I got to take care of business. But
what does that mean?
You can't,
for me.
Right? Because you've got to. There is sometimes you've just got to go. Fuck it. I'm the only one that can deal with this. I need to sort this out.
But what if you haven't got the tools?
But that's what I mean. But then I'm in a position where I've thought about suicide a couple of times, but I think because I've got kids, I never went through with it. I was like, I couldn't do it to them. I remember being in a relationship that was so toxic that we had a massive row, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm going to go and do it. And I walked out to this pier that was near where we lived, and I had the rope in my pocket, and I'm walking out. The tide was out as well, and I'm like, I'm going to do it under the pier, and then no one will know where I am. And then as I was walking out through the stones and the mud, and I realized, like, I've got my boys, I can't do that to them. And I just sat down in the mud and the stone, just started crying because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it to them. I just couldn't put them through that. So I didn't do it. So it has got to a point where I've gone, fuck it. There's that. Yeah. Do you know what? It's a tricky one because I've said, yeah, you got to dig deep sometimes and do some man shit. But then that's like, make a phone call because you owe some money, or sort your bills out. Sometimes you got to go, yeah, fuck it. You got to do that. Stop hiding from the debt, man. You got to go and pay your bills. Go and have a conversation. Yeah, because that's the other thing as well. I'm good at putting my head in the sand, but sometimes you got to go, fuck it. I got to do some man shit. And I got to ring this fucking person. But sometimes it gets to a point when the despair is so vast, and you really feel like there isn't anyone else to talk to. I've been in that situation where you go, look, I'm surrounded by people, but there isn't one single person that I feel I can talk to, because you feel like you're getting in the way. You feel like, they got their own shit to deal with. I don't want to bother them with this. And sometimes, you do try and talk to them, and sometimes they are busy. You might catch them at the wrong point, and they'll go, mate, I'll catch up with you later. That's not because I don't care. So I think on both sides, this is a conversation I've had before. On both sides, we have to be prepared to open up and ask people for help. We also have to be open to people asking for help and recognize that. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? Just sometimes if you ask someone how they are, one day they're going to properly tell you.
Absolutely.
And you've got to be prepared for that. And that's what we need to start getting across, is that sometimes you're going to get someone's going to go, actually, mate, I'm a bit fucked. And if I don't get sorted out, I think I'm going to do something silly.
Okay. Okay. A couple of things there.
Mm.
And partly it's because of my training and my learning, because I do deliver a lot of work around suicide, etc.
Mm.
But when you say the word silly, I know you mean suicide.
Yeah.
Do you voice it though?
How did I voice it? I've talked about it on my podcast. I've had a good conversation with my friend Tom. Tom and I have known each other since we were 3. He's been going through some heavy shit recently, like proper end of the road. I've had enough. I can't keep doing this. And he and I have gone out, and we've had a chat, proper chat. And I've said to him, I'm telling you now, you have no choice but to stay here. You got no choice, mate. And we've broken it down and we've worked it out. And now what we do now is we WhatsApp each other. And when he's feeling that way, I'm like, yeah, I get you, man. I get you. That's all right. Let's, do you want to meet up? Do you want to go and have a beer? Do you want to have a coffee? And we work it out. But that's taken a long time to get to that point. You know, up until that point, I thought he was fine. He did life the way that you're supposed to do it. Like, you know, like they go, you know, you do well at school, you get your qualifications, you leave school, you get a good job, you go work in a bank. You go work in a bank. That's a good job. That's a good job. You'll be sorted for life. Get yourself a mortgage. You get yourself a wife. You get yourself some kids.
Yes.
Get yourself a nice house. And then you get yourself a bigger house. And then you get yourself a car. Get a bigger car. Bigger telly.
You go on holidays.
You go on holidays.
Yes.
You become a perfect citizen. And then you realize, oh no, that's fucking awful. Because fundamentally, we're animals and we should just be out in the woods fighting and fucking and eating. But we're shoved into this framework where we have to be, if you've got a decent credit rating, you're seen as a good citizen. Oh, you can borrow money from the bloke in the suit. Then well done, mate. Well done. You're a decent citizen. You're not using cash anymore. You're using cards all the time. You're a good citizen. It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit, mate.
It's bollocks.
Yeah.
You know that. I know that.
It does my head in. It does my head in. Yeah, we've just got rid of all the tills. We've now got robots doing the tills.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about people? What are they going to do? Oh, yeah, well, you know, they can go and retrain, do something else. Retrain as what? What are you talking about? That bloke there, he's 55 years old. No one's going to employ him. What's he going to retrain as? It's bullshit. The whole system's fucked. And this is why we've got problems now, is because the people in charge, the psychopaths with the suits, and they're all mentally ill. Greed has just completely ruined any kind of logic that they ever had. And now they're just, it's not even about having a lot of money. It's about having all of the money. I want all the money and I want all the power and I don't care. He's like, yeah, what are you going to do when you get all of it though? It doesn't matter. I'll just have all of it. And you go, yeah, but you'll be on your own. There'll be no one else around. What are you going to do then? Doesn't matter. I'll have all the money. And it's nuts. It's nuts where they're taking us. But I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, but I was just about to say to you, how do you push back on that then?
Well, we all have to come together, but we don't feel like we can.
Let's go back. You know? Let me go back. This is important for me.
Yeah.
You grew up Bromley, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, as a young black lad growing up in Bromley, I seen that as predominantly a white area. Yeah. Predominantly seen as, it's a bit moody there for black people and all that, you know?
You would have gone, so Bromley would have been, yeah, when it starts becoming white, a bit more white, and then you're getting out into Orpington. And I remember growing up, there was one black family in where I grew up in Orpington. And I was friends with them, Ronnie. He was Ronnie, the Fords. It was Ronnie Valance. Not Fortune, he was somebody else. But I knew that family, and that was it. But then as you went through Bromley, Catford, as you got further into London, then it became more
it's different.
Yeah, and I was lucky because my mum's from Brixton. My mum's side of the family are all Camberwell, Brixton. So when I grew up, I was surrounded by, it was multicultural. There was people from all sides. And I realized that when Facebook started and I started seeing people posting shit that I went to school with, I'm like, how are you posting that where we grew up? And you go, oh shit, yeah, you never left the little town. You never went to Brixton. You never went to Camberwell. You never went into London. You might have gone at Christmas, go and see the Christmas lights, but you never mixed it up and got involved. And this is again music. Music is so important.
Go on.
If it hadn't been for the music in my life, I wouldn't be half the man I am. Being lucky enough to be surrounded by music from it. Like my dad was massive into the blues, so I had the blues.
Okay.
And we had reggae as well. I remember my mum and dad got heavily into reggae, like proper heavy dub. So I had that. So I was very lucky to be surrounded by that. And I learned so much from all the music I was listening to. Like listening to Marvin Gaye and and it wasn't until later on you realise, oh fuck, these are quite political. This isn't just, this is even the song Green Door by Shakin' Stevens is actually a cover version of a Frankie Vaughan song about a guy trying to get into a lesbian nightclub in the 50s called the Green Door. It's just this green door. And he's like, what's going on in the green door? I want to get in there.
There you go.
Political. It's everywhere. And you just it changed everything for me, man. So I reckon, if you coming out Bromley into Kent gets very white, which is why I was more interested in going in. It was more interesting.
So how did that... So you're saying music was one vehicle that shaped you, that influenced your upbringing more so, particularly in your later teens, early 20s and all of that. Did that draw any conflict then with some of your mates that you grew up with?
You sort of just left people behind. As you got into it, as music became more and more part of my life, you just kind of came away from people and I started going to see bands when I was 14. And that's when things changed for me. It was like, I was itching to get into London and see bands and get involved. And so it didn't really cause any conflict. You just kind of just left people behind and went off and found your tribe, for want of a better word.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Good shout.
Go and find your people.
And is your tribe still there? Or are you in the wilderness? You know where people are, but you're just plowing your own furrow, as it were.
I think now I'm older, I'm happy being myself, and I'm happy to kind of walk my own path. For years, I wanted to fit in. For years, and especially with comedy, you want to be part of it. You want to be in the groovy gang, like the cool people, and you want to be the ones that everyone's talking about and all that. But you get to a point, you kind of go, oh, I'm quite happy walking my own path. I'm busy. People like what I do. I dress how I want to dress. That's something else as well. When you're growing up, I don't know what it's like now. I think it's changed now. But if you wore the wrong trainers when I was at school, Jesus Christ, that was the end of your life, mate. That was the end of your life.
Come to Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Bloody yeah, you don't have to tell me about that one. I'm just old school. I'm just Adidas, old school all the time.
Oh my God! See, this is why we're going to be mates, because you can't beat 3 stripes, mate. You can't beat the 3 stripes.
You know that. All these youngins with the Nike and all of that. None of that, none of that. Adidas.
I've got them. I don't really wear them. I wear them. I've got Adidas. All manner of shapes, sizes, colors.
Absolutely.
I've got a pair of Adidas. They're gold gazelles, like gazelle kind of style. They're called something else, like not dragon or something like that. But they're gold with navy blue stripe and then red around the edges.
Go on.
Fucking great, man. I haven't worn them. I'm scared.
Why?
Wear
2 pairs. You wear one, you leave the other one in the box.
Mate, they're 140 quid a pair.
I can't 2 pairs. Come on.
Maybe I'll find someone vintage and then I'll wear them.
You know what? We've got it. I don't know if you've probably got it in your neck of the woods, but we've got an event that's on every 6 months. It's called Laces Out,
Oh yeah.
and it's a trainers convention.
Oh,
It's a train. People come from Italy. People come down from Scotland. People. Big shout out to Laces Out. Come from
yeah.
Liverpool. Yeah, it's pucker. It's pucker.
Oh, I love the sound of
You,
that.
you know,
Love the
it
sound
is
of that.
definitely.
It's mad the amount of it's sometimes because the way the shops have gone now. I mean, all trainers are like 120 quid. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm not paying 120 quid just for a pair of Sambas that Rishi Sunak's now ruined. Right?
Oh no, he hasn't been on. He hasn't worn a pair, has he?
Have you not seen? Have you not
Fuck.
seen? Oh, dude.
No, don't kill me. Don't kill. No, no, no.
So
We're ending this now. I've been traumatized.
So everyone's wearing the white Sambas with the black stripe, right? He did a thing. I don't know what it was. He talked to the press or something, and he had a pair of them on with his bottoms rolled up, his trousers rolled up. And I've never seen a man look more uncomfortable in a pair of trainers. It's fucking shit. I said this earlier. I was tweeting about it earlier because it looks like an assistant that's like jabbed them on him like a toddler, like trying to kick, like trying to get your kids dressed. He's like, put your feet up, give me your foot, like banging a fucking Samba on his foot to make him look cool. Make you look cool.
That's a sketch out of The Thick of It or something.
Dude, it's exactly like that. You can see they've gone, right, how can we make Rishi more like one of the people? Yeah. Get some Sambas on him. Get some Sambas.
Oh no, no.
Oh mate. I'm so fucking out. Yeah, exactly. It's just
it's wrong.
They have no idea, man. The government don't give a shit. This is the thing as well. We're now living in a world where a government that we didn't even vote in now, the people running the things, we didn't even vote them in. And they've been proven time and time again to have broken the law, told lies. And they go, yeah, we did.
But you say we didn't vote them in. 0.6% of the population voted for them. And those were members of the party.
Oh, really?
That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And you have to ask yourself the question about what is democracy.
The thing is, it's just, it's been made a mockery of. I know that's a cliche, but this is another reason why people are going, what's the point? What's the point in voting? Because it doesn't do anything.
It's an apathy.
Yeah. And that's what they want. But that's what they want. They want you to be like that. They don't want you voting. So if you're going, oh yeah, what's the fucking point? They'll go, yeah, that's what we want. Because then you won't vote. And then they stay in.
Yes.
So we need to break that. And we need to just, you don't need to rise up. You don't need to fucking storm the gates. You just need to go out and vote. That's it. It's that easy. And they make it more difficult. Like that you can vote for dancers on the telly via your remote control.
Absolutely.
But you have to go to a school and they do it at a time where most people are at work. And you have to turn up. You have to do it in pencil.
Yeah, I do.
Who's got pencils? And it's bullshit, mate. They make it so difficult for you to vote. So then they get to a point, people go, what's the fucking point? Oh, I can't be bothered with this. It's that leader of the Labour Party is a fucking and a gooner. We can't bring football into this. You can't bring football into this.
We must.
No, this is the thing. You talk to anyone from Liverpool, it always goes football, mate. I love Liverpool. I love the people of Liverpool. I have a good time every time I'm there. But it did make me laugh when I first went, and the biggest shop in the middle of Liverpool was the football shop. They fucking love football.
Yes. We won't comment on that. We won't comment on that at the moment.
No, I can't. It's not my area anyway. So
tell me about, you've alluded to comedy. What set you on the track for that? What were you doing beforehand?
Oh mate, I've done so many jobs. I just kind of left school. I didn't even bother. I didn't get any qualifications. I just stopped going. I was so fed up with it. I hated school.
Why? Wasn't it a teacher that infused you?
They didn't excite me at all. There was, I had, funnily enough, mentioned in Liverpool, there was one teacher, and his name was Mr. Probin, and we didn't even get his name until we left. We went, fuck, his name was Probin, right? His name is Mr. Probin, and he was from Liverpool. And I remember we did this evening thing where parents would come to the school to have a look round for the next time, you know, so when they're sending their kids to school, they could choose school. So we were all there working, and he said, right, I want you to write me a poem. And I remember writing this poem, and then he read it, and this is the first teacher that ever kind of went, yeah, you got something, man. He said, yeah, this is like Roger McGough. And I'm like, what?
Did you know who Roger McGough was?
Yeah, thanks to my dad. And I'm like, wow, really? You went, yeah. He goes, this is very reminiscent of Roger McGough. And I was like, what? And I never forgot that. So it was Mr. Probin. There was another teacher called Miss Stevens. She saw something in me. She was cool. She helped me with my maths. And she was a troubled soul. I always wonder what happened to her. She was obviously going through some shit. She was always very, you could just sort of tell there was something. She was on the edge. Something was happening, you know. And she was a good person. I wonder where she is now. There's Miss Sinclair way back. She helped me with my reading. She was cool. So there was one or two teachers throughout the ages. Oh, there was one though. I thought he was really cool, Mr. Thomas, and he was into his music and he wore DM shoes. So I always thought he was really cool. He was kind of like, you know, he was obviously, you know, a fan of the Smiths, that sort of look. Yes. Later on, this was before that, but that was that sort of look. And I remember I found out that he liked Elvis Costello. So my dad had 2 albums. So I recorded these 2 albums onto this cassette for Mr. Thomas. And I took it in. I wrote it on the thing. I took it in. I went, Mr. Thomas, I've made this tape for you. I know you're a big fan of Elvis Costello. And he went, oh, no, I've already got these, and gave it back.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Didn't even take it and go thanks, and never to play it. Yeah. And that has stayed with me since.
Wow.
Yeah. Since I was 13, 14. That affected me. That really upset me.
Wow.
Yeah, Mr. Thomas. Yeah, man. That was my moment where I was like, you piece of shit.
You fucker.
Yeah. Brutal, that was. I know, you know, and he might not have meant it. I don't know.
You know, it's funny how we recall things from when we were young and how they stay with us through the ages. An act of kindness, a time of disregard.
Yeah.
It stays.
Well, there's that famous thing in there that what do you do if a young kid hands you a plastic phone? You answer that phone. That's what you do. It's like my lads used to, my youngest, well, my middle one now, Bailey, he used to message me and go, oh, Dad, have you heard this? Yeah, you got to listen to this. He's called Jimi Hendrix. And you go, oh, I'll give it a go. I'll give it a listen. You don't go, oh, yeah, I've got all of his stuff. You just go, oh, yeah, I'll give it a go. What was his name? Jimi Hendrix. Oh, yeah, I'll check him out. Do you know what I mean? Can
I be honest with you? In those you said that, I just felt all warm inside.
Yeah,
I felt warm inside.
Because it's what you do. You don't make kids feel shit.
No, you don't.
You encourage. And I think that's the difference from when I was a kid. There was very much kind of, my dad was pretty cool. My mum and dad are pretty supportive, you know, on their own level, you know, but it was very much a case of you're a kid, shut up, go away, you know, go and do your thing. They kind of let you find your own way. And it would have been nice if they'd have just recognized that I was into music, like as much as I was. So I remember having a conversation and going, oh, I love the piano bit in Rock the Casbah. And then my dad going, there's no piano in that. What are you on about? And I was like, oh, right, maybe I'm wrong. But there is piano in it.
Of course, I can hear it now. I can hear it now.
Yeah. So there's just little bits like that where I think we're more mindful of those things now. He never meant that. My dad had a terrible upbringing. He had an horrible childhood. So, you know, which he's only just started talking about.
Are you making excuses for him?
Only because I remember my nan, and she was horrible. She hated boys. I don't know why. And I remember my dad struggled with that. And I remember, so last year he was giving me a lift to the station, and out of nowhere, he just starts telling me about this shit that went on when he was his mum was being horrible to his dad. And it used to happen all the time. And then one day my dad stood up to his mum and went, "Don't keep having a go at my dad. Pack it in." And then his dad said, "Don't do that. You'll make it worse." So he had all that to deal with. Wow. So it's nice that, you know, we're now having conversations, and we're now realizing that far from kids they need guidance, they need boundaries, but we're changing the language, not calling it discipline. It used to be discipline. You got to be disciplined.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you got to be encouraged and go kind of like, look, don't do that. Don't stick your fingers in that. Don't do that. Don't talk to that person. You know, or, you know, look, there's a way of talking to your kids that isn't like, you know.
Let's have these conversations of the reasons why I'm saying don't do this as opposed to that.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering whether or not growing up, did you miss out on those conversations with your dad that you would have liked, that you have with your kids now? Are the conversations that you would have loved? I'll be quite pointed now. Say, for example, when you lost your virginity, or you got your first girlfriend or boyfriend, whomever it was, you know, was the times when you missed out on those conversations, or was it just a case of get out there and just?
Yeah, you never had those conversations about sex. And my mum and dad were pretty cool. Like, you know, I'd have girlfriends back at the house, and there was one day like her and I were I didn't realize, it's when I first realized that houses aren't that insulated. And me and her upstairs going at it, and dad had to just bang on the ceiling and go, "Can you pack it in?" Like, we're above the kitchen and we're just going at it. So there was that. But then there was a couple of times, my dad, man, sometimes he was quite closed off and quite annoyed, angry, but every now and again he'd surprise you. And I remember once when I first, so the mother of my kids, we were only young, I was like 20 when I first had kids. And I remember me and her, we were having some trouble. I ended up back at my mum and dad's. And I remember waking my dad up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and going, "Dad, I think I'm going to go back. I'm going to go and sort this out." And he's like, and he didn't bollock me. He didn't ever go at me for waking up because he had to go to work. He went, "All right, yeah, fair enough." He goes, "What do you need? What do you need me to do?" Well, I don't know, really. I said, "I just thought I'd tell you. So I'm sorry about the time." He went, "No." He goes, No. He goes, "If you feel you got to go and do that, then go and do it." It was a really nice moment. So it wasn't all bad. It was good. It was good. There was good stuff. There was bad stuff. You know, we had a pretty good upbringing. You know, I think most of us had the same sort of upbringing. You know, it was a lot of anger, but then there was a lot of good stuff that would surprise you.
Yeah.
You know, working class. We're working class people.
Absolutely. So tell me the route to comedy. What was it like for you?
So that was always.
How did it materialize? Did you always know that was the promised land for you?
No, never. I never in a million years did I think I'd be doing stand-up comedy. I'm fundamentally pretty shy. Comedy's helped me with that. I've been doing it 20 years now, so my shyness has evolved. In it's still there now and again. I feel I can't ask someone for something because I'm crushed with the fear of rejection. Like I can't. It's like with my podcast. I struggle to ask for guests because I worry they're going to go no, and I'm like, I'll be crushed. So it takes me a while to build up the courage to ask people to come on, which is ridiculous. But doing comedy's always been around for me. And my friend Tom, who I mentioned earlier, was always giving me stuff. He was like, "Oh, listen to this fella, listen to that." And then we had Dave Allen growing up. And,
wow, quality.
You know,
a lot of quality.
A lot of the comedians I love are Irish. So it's Dave Allen, Tommy Tiernan, Dylan Moran. And then there's a lot of the American guys as well. And then my mate from next door, Alan Costin, and he gave me Eddie Murphy, Delirious, on a cassette.
Delirious. Okay.
And he said to me, "Listen to this, but if he goes, if you got headphones, I'm like, yeah. He goes, right, listen to this on headphones. And it blew my tiny mind. I'd never heard anything like. I mean, obviously now some of it's quite questionable, but on a technical, fundamental level, it's some of the best stand-up comedy you've ever heard. Like Eddie Murphy was next level.
He was.
But then because of Eddie Murphy, then someone went, well, that's George Carlin,
Yes.
and that's Bill Cosby, and that's Richard Pryor, and I go, who are these people?
Yes.
And I'm like, Richard Pryor, what, the fella from Superman 3?
Oh my God. Yes.
And then so the first time I discovered Richard Pryor was just, I didn't laugh because I was so blown away by what I was watching. Just this fella. But the things he was talking about as well, he was talking about some really personal stuff.
100%.
Talking about, I mean, that famous thing about him shooting the car. I ain't going to say what he said, obviously, but that whole bit when he talks about setting himself on fire and he talks about all that mad shit, and you're like, fuck, no one was doing that back then.
Yes.
No one was being as personal as that. He was admitting that he fucked up and he wasn't the perfect person, and he did it so brilliantly. So I never in a million years thought, what, I'm going to be doing what he's doing. That'd be silly. That's not what we do. That's for other people. And then I got a job in a comedy club as a barman and getting friendly with a few comics. And then one of them had his own gigs. There's a fella called Rob Rouse, and he's the first person that said to me, he goes, you should do it. He goes, I reckon you could do it. You got a twinkle in your eye. You could do it. And another guy called Silky had some gigs, and he just went, right, you're going to do comedy. Your first gig is on this date and you can't back out. And I went, all right, I'm going to do it. And I did it.
Did you shit yourself?
Yeah, it was horrible. I shit myself for 2 months up until the gig. I shit myself every day. I didn't get an ounce of sleep the entire time. And then the gig itself rolls around. I've got 5 minutes, I think. I do 2.5. I get one laugh. And then I can't remember the rest of it. And I'm off. I went, no, I'm going. And then he went, right, that was good. You're coming back next month. And then he had me on again. And then before you know it, I'm 20 years and I've been around the world. It's crazy. Crazy. I don't understand how I got to that point. I don't get it, but I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too.
I think it's just being open to it. The power of yes.
The power of yes.
The amount of times I've been somewhere and someone's gone, do you want to do that? I go, yeah, go on then. Because the thought of not even giving it a go frightens me. I want to get out there and experience as much as I can before I'm not here anymore. And so the power of yes, just go, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it.
Okay. So there's a question for me in terms of feeling vulnerable. Does that ever spring to mind for you?
All the time. All the time.
How do you manage that beast so it doesn't control you?
It's a tricky one because sometimes I'll be honest with you. So today, my wife and I have had a tricky day. We were arguing a bit today. And it's not until she'd gone out and I had a moment to sort of mull it over and go, do you know what? That's because you were feeling insecure about something. And what you've done is that you've spun it and you've gone, as a defense mechanism, you've gone, well, no, you do that. And it wasn't until she'd gone out and I went, I've done that fucking thing again, haven't I? And then it's really hard to come back from. Because even if you go, look, this is why I said that thing. I was feeling insecure about that. I felt insecure about that. And instead of just being honest about how I was feeling, I've put it on you as a defense mechanism. Yeah, so that was today. So sometimes it comes out.
Have you had
a difficult one?
Just on that point, Rich, have you had the opportunity to say sorry, or say I've been able to reflect, and this is why I did what I did? And
not yet. So now this is what's happening. This is happening right now. This is
no,
live.
I know it is. This is
Yeah.
real time. I know it is. That's why I'm asking you. That's why I'm asking you.
This is we had a moment before. This is why I was a bit late as well, and we were talking, and it's only now I'm like, oh yeah, do you know what? I could have been a bit more understanding, and I wasn't, because we both not had a lot of sleep. I got in at like 3 o'clock this morning, and then I was up again at 7 because Kate was going out to work. So neither of us had a lot of sleep. And it's only now, man, since talking to you, I'm like, fuck yeah, I should have been a bit more. Yeah, I've been a bit of a dick. Oh, fuck. Right in the middle of a podcast, man. Jesus Christ.
Listen, it's real. It's real.
Oh, God. Yeah, I should have been a bit more. I got too caught up in, yeah, but I do this, I do that. And it's like, sometimes you don't need to say that. Sometimes you can just take a step back and go, I see where you're coming from. Yeah. Fuck
you
me.
Her, don't you? You love her.
I love her. Yeah, I do love her. I love her and my boys. I'm very lucky to have the family that I have.
Okay. Well,
and it upsets me. Upsets me.
Okay, so fucking make amends.
I will. Straight after this. I'll put a video up. I'll put a video and I'll tag you in it. Of me apologizing. It happens, man. None of us are perfect. You're gonna let these
far from it.
Mate, and your insecurities get the better of you sometimes. It's hard.
You know what? Talking with you is feeling so real. The way it should be.
Yeah.
The way it should be all the time.
You're not always going to get it right. You're never going to have the right. You sometimes are not going to have the right conversation, or someone's going to talk to you about how they're feeling, and you're not going to know what to say. But you can even say that. You can even go, dude, I know you're going through this shit. This is really hard, but I don't know what to say. You can just say that. You can be honest and go, so what do we do? What do we do? What can we do? Instead of going, oh, I don't have the words to comfort you. What can we do? What will make you? It's going to be a clunky conversation. That's the point. That's what I talk about on my one. It's not. You see it in the films, and someone goes, "Oh, I'm feeling really down." Oh wow. Well, what you should do is blah blah blah. It doesn't go like that. You go like you'll have a pint. You'll be having a pint with your mate, and he'll go, "How you doing?" And go, "Do you know what? I've had enough, mate. And I'm going to drive my car into a river." And he'll go, "Okay, mate." He'll either go, "All right, mate, keep it light," or he'll go, "Shit, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say." But you're allowed to say that. You go, "I don't know what to say." And then he'll go, "Oh, sorry, mate, I shouldn't have brought it up." And you go, No. Let's work it out. Let's have a chat. We can, because it's new ground for both of you. Absolutely. And no one knows how to do it straight away.
Absolutely.
It's just a new thing all round, and it's a fucking clumsy thing you're going to do, and it's awkward, and you're going to feel bad that you're going to go away going, "Oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said anything." But your mate will be glad that you did. Yeah, I guarantee it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You mentioned at the beginning about several times you've contemplated suicide. And when you were talking through that first time you spoke about it and you gave the example, I was wondering, how was it for you an hour, a day, a week afterwards, reflecting back on that time?
I never felt true despair before. And that's what it was. True, raw despair, where there's no other option. You think there's nothing, there's no one you can talk to, there's no other way out, there's nothing you can do. But the thought, there's that brief moment where you go, I'm going to fucking do it. And there's a relief. You get that feeling of, this is why I understand why people self-harm, because it relieves them. It's like when you're, I don't know, when you go and buy yourself a burger and chips and you go, "Oh, that's fucking good."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like you're purging.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
people
yeah.
self-injure, it's a way psychologically of purging that the stress that they are experiencing.
Exactly. So when someone cuts themselves or does something that if they hurt themselves, there's that relief. You go, oh God, that's
Yeah.
that pressure's relief. I've relieved that pressure. And the thought that I was going to go and kill myself, the relief, I was like, oh yeah, because your brain doesn't understand. Your brain goes, oh, we've got a way to stop this feeling. That's what we're going to do.
Mm,
Is you also your brain can't comprehend, as you know, your brain doesn't know that you can't come back. That's going to be it because you can't. Your brain doesn't comprehend death.
absolutely. It's just about being in that moment.
Yeah, yeah. So I totally get why people go to the extreme and do the thing because that sense of relief when you're in the middle of that kind of raw despair where there's nothing left, you're done, you're out, you've got nowhere else to turn. When you go, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Oh, I feel good. I spoke to a mate of mine the other day and he was talking about he thought about doing it and he'd set up life insurance. He got into really bad debt and he had life insurance. And then he was like, "All right, in 6 months' time, there's a clause that will be up, which means
Yeah.
if I kill myself,
Yes.
the family still get money." So
Yeah.
then, and the thought when he had that thought, and he went, "Oh yeah, I'll do it." Then he was like, "Oh God, yeah, that relief." It was and then things turned around, and he was all right, and he didn't have to do the thing. But I understand why. But what I want people to do, if they're listening to this and they've had that same feeling, trust me that feeling of relief, you've then got to go past that and go
100%.
right because because I'm telling you now, yeah, it feels good. You go, oh God, yeah, there's a way out. There's a way out. It's not the way to go. It's such a miracle that you're here in the first place, which I know sounds like a cliche, but
It's not a cliche.
it's a beautiful thing that
No.
you exist, man. It's a 1 in a million chance that you're here. So let's try and deal with what got you to that point. Whether you've cheated on your partner or you've done whatever you've done. Let's try and deal with that thing you've done and unravel it and undo it. If you've cheated on someone, mate, all right, that's a fucking shit thing to do, but it's not worth killing yourself over. Or you've nicked money off someone. That's not worth killing yourself over. You just got to not nick money from people going forward or whatever.
Yeah.
Deal with the thing that got you to that point. The thing that got me to that point was a really horrible toxic relationship. So I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. I'm out. So that's what happened. I got out of it. But I get it. Again, that sense of relief is why people go, yeah, that's the answer. And that's why they do the thing. I think anyway.
No, and I will add to that, and I'll say often people feel that they've explored every single option available to them,
Yeah.
that they're devoid of any other answers, that suicide does feel like the option for them, the
Because they
solution.
think they're going to reboot and they're going to come back and then they're
It's
going to be able to go. And
that's
you're
it.
like, you're not.
No, that's it. End of. And when
Yeah.
people talk about relief, etc., I'll be happy once it's done. They won't know
Yeah.
because they're dead.
Yeah.
End of.
And the other thing is as well, you might not do it properly. And the
You
chances are you might hurt
won't even
yourself.
absolutely, and end up paraplegic,
Yeah.
tetraplegic, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And
I've tried to. So I talked about hanging. That's what I was going to do. I was in my mate's flat and I was thinking about it. And I'm like, how would you do it? How would you do it? And he had this he doesn't know if he's listening to this. This is what I did. So he's got this bars on his door. So we used to do pull-ups on this door frame. And I remember putting a rope around that, and then I put it around my neck. And then I was like, yeah, you just hang yourself. And I let myself go, and it fucking hurts. It hurts.
believe it.
And I went, oh shit, I don't want to do that.
Believe it.
It really fucking hurt. It really pulled all the muscles in. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's not the one.
Absolutely. People aren't aware of the jolt,
No.
the impact that it can have on the rest of your body.
Yeah. you're going to do damage, and probably not going to go. You're not going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do? You're going to hurt yourself. You take a load of pills. Someone's going to find you, or you're going to vomit them up, but you're going to do damage to your insides. Then you got to live with that.
100%.
You know,
it's not the
way.
halcyon perspective of, oh yeah, rose tinted glasses.
Yeah, you're not just walking into the light.
No. Thank you for sharing that, Rich.
Oh, listen, this is one of the things I've learned from talking to people is being honest. Helps me. It's helped me no end, being honest. And then when people listen to the podcast and then they message me and they go, mate, you don't have to talk about some stuff. I'm like, yeah, because I think it's important. You know, I've been a hero. I've been an absolute tosser. I've been a proper wanker. But I'm not a wanker. I've just done things, wanky things.
Yeah.
But fundamentally in my heart, I know I'm a good person. And I know that it's better that I stay here and, you know, try and get through this shit rather than do something horrible that's going to cause more upset and sadness in the long run. You know, there are people out there that love you. Even when you get to that point where you're in the middle of despair, like I mentioned earlier, and I felt that despair, there are people I know that would have been so upset if I'd have gone.
100%.
You know? Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. It's got to be dark. Apologies.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think, you know, you spoke about your kids being your protective factor, your reasons for living and that, you know. But I'm going to ask you, who's the most important person in your life?
I think it's my wife and my kids.
You can only pick one.
Oh, mate, no one's ever done that before.
Oh, well, I'm doing it now.
I am. And then the rest of them.
Come on. No. How did you arrive at that? Because you didn't want to pick anybody else, did you?
It's difficult. How can you pick any? I've got 3 kids. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got really lovely mates. I've got parents. I've got siblings. You know, we might not be that close, but they're still important.
Okay.
And then you got then you know, there were people that I went out with that I wasn't very nice to in a way, you know, like, you know, being a prick. I cheated on them and I was an asshole. But they're still my friends. I'm still friends with them because they've seen beyond the shitty stuff, and I've managed to make
the evolution of Rich Wilson. Then yes,
yeah. just follow my lead. I'll sort you out.
Well, you know what? You're right, Tick. The most important person in your life is you. Okay.
Yeah.
I think Tim. It's 10-4. Is it 10? Yeah, we've only had 4 people, and all the people who we've interviewed that have said themselves. Most people will generally say somebody else. But me personally, my philosophy is this: you are the expert of you. You know what makes yourself happy. You know what makes yourself sad. And only by attending to your needs can you be fully there for the people that you love and care for.
Exactly.
Go on, lad.
Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. What? This has been brilliant. Yeah, man, that's so true. Because because then you've got the capacity to take care of others and
of course
and help people out. Yeah, mate.
Okay. I won't put a check on the post or an invoice on the post.
This is what this is. You're hustling people for money. This is like it's how I do it. It's how I get people.
Side hustle. Yeah.
Dude, I'd pay you for this. This has been brilliant.
Nah, thank you. You've been bloody excellent. Tell me what's next for you.
So I've got a show that I'm taking around about the place about being a dad at this age.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to be interesting.
It's called The Train, the Story, and the Bump, and it's about it's about me being a dad again at this age because I've got 2 lads and they're they're 32 and 27, 26.
Go on.
So,
how young are these ones now?
4 months, nearly 5.
Wow.
Yeah, mate.
Wow.
I was so
Old
far out the
school.
woods. I was out the
Old
woods.
school. Did your mates look at you and say, "What the fuck's going on here?"
They all do this thing where they kind of cock their head like that and they go, "Congratulations." And then I was on a train and I happened to just bump into this woman that did this extraordinary thing. We had this extraordinary conversation, and it made me realize a few things about bringing kids into the world that we're in now. And it was a really interesting story. So it's the train, the story, and the bump, and I'm going to be taking that around and about the place. And just running around doing the gigs and apologizing to my wife immediately after this. That's the next thing.
All I can say is you're blessed. Genuinely, you're blessed.
Yeah.
I, at the weekend with some therapists, we do a group supervision and that. And one of the things that last weekend's topic was about parents and forgiveness.
Oh, right.
It led to very, very deep conversations. But I think as a parent, being a parent myself, having experienced what I've experienced, and I know I can't get it right all the time, as much as I try, but I know I'm blessed with the children that I have.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful.
Same. And I think if you have had a tricky upbringing with your parents, and I've had this conversation with loads of people, you get to a point. My parents have been great. On the whole, been great. They had their own shit to deal with. But if you've had a really tricky time with one of them or both of them or whatever, but now you're all right. Now you've got a kind of a semblance of a decent relationship. I think you get to a point where you go, well, they're in their fucking 80s now. What good is it for me to not start going through all the bad shit that happened?
Absolutely.
You just got to go. It happened. We're in a nice place now. They're people. They fucked up. I'm sure they're aware of it.
Yeah.
So what can you do? You just got. It's up to you to just draw a line under it and go, that was then. This is where we're at now. I won't make those mistakes going forward. We'll learn.
But you'll make other ones.
I'll make other ones. Yeah.
Yes, you'll make other ones.
You're a human being. You're not. It's not. We're not meant to be in this weird framework that they've shoved us in. We're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna fuck up.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Just going back to something you said. If you could have 3 podcast guests, who would they be?
Alive or dead, doesn't matter.
Oh, golf. Oh, wow. Yeah, I might do a seance for you later.
Yeah, man. Because I always wanted to talk to Norm Macdonald. I love Norm Macdonald. He was a hero of mine. I was genuinely saddened when he passed away. He was a big influence. And he had cancer for like 9 years and never told anyone.
Excuse my ignorance.
He's an American comic, not massively famous, but you might have seen him. You might have seen him around and about the place. But he was big. He was on SNL years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. He was always ribbing O.J. Simpson about him getting away with murder. And all that shit.
Oh God, that's topical.
So Norm was a big influence on me. So I would have loved to have had him on the podcast. I tell you what, actually, talking about Liverpool again, Paddy the Baddy, man. I really like him. I like him. Every time I see him, I think he seems pretty sound. He's a
Paddy
dude.
the Baddy. Okay. All right. Give me one more.
Fuck. Who else? Richard Pryor. Imagine getting to sit down with him. The life that he led. What's the stories that I bet he had that he never talked about? The things he saw as a kid.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? That
Yes.
would have been something else. So yeah, those Norm, yeah, Paddy the Baddy and Richard Pryor. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll throw in with Richard Pryor, Bill Hicks, though.
Oh yeah. See, that was another one when Bill Hicks died. It was like, what? How
He,
he's
he was in
32.
Liverpool. He was in Liverpool the year before he passed,
Really?
doing a gig. Yeah, I still remember, and I cursed myself. And I think it was '93. He was in Liverpool. He died in '94, didn't he?
That's it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was in Liverpool in '93, and I was into him then, and I
No.
never went to see him. One of my
Dude,
biggest regrets.
we just think they're going to be around forever. I had a similar thing. So, he's a friend of mine, Math Brown, and he runs gigs called Outside the Box. And he on a Monday, he used to say to me all the time when I was starting out, he was like, "Come down when you want. I'll just whack you on." And he used to have all manner of people like Jack D and all like good big names, right? And then there was one night I was going to go down. And I went, fuck it, I can't be bothered tonight. I can't be off. It was raining or some shit like that. I'm like, I can't be off. Next day, Robin Williams had been down.
Wow! Oh, wow!
Fucking hell!
Oh,
Yeah,
wow!
gutted. I was gutted.
Wow!
Yeah, I even remember having the conversation where I went, I can't be asked. I'm not gonna go. Gutted. That's a big regret. Yeah.
That's why you say yes to everything.
Say yes to everything. You never know who you're going to meet or where
You
you're going to go.
never know, indeed.
Yeah.
Rich Wilson, you've been a brilliant guest.
I've really enjoyed this, Yinka. Thank you.
Thank you for your openness and your honesty.
Anytime.
And I hope we get to do this again sometime soon.
I'd be up for it anytime you want. Anytime you want.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Props to you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. And I'm going to go and apologise to my wife.
You better add. The Hurt Locker is a safe space for our guests to openly share their mental health experiences. If you have been affected by any of the content in this recording, then please reach out for support. If it is an emergency, dial 999. If you would like to talk to somebody today, then please call the Samaritans on 116 123. Stay safe.